Hi, everybody. It's so good to see you all virtually. My name is Ben Riggs, and welcome to St. John's Hymn Sing, our monthly hymn sing that the Chancel Choir is helping put on. I'm in a different place this month because there's no power at St. John's. There hasn't been all day. So I'm coming to you live from my apartment with a keyboard. It'll be a little bit different, but still good. And we're probably going to be missing a few of our choir folks who live in the area there who are also without power. I think it'd be great if we just all take a minute and just think of all of them right now as they're enduring this heat and this power outage and the fire danger and all of that. All of our thoughts are with those who are not with us tonight. So if you're joining us for the first time for a hymn sing, the way this works on Zoom is you get to sing along at home a lot of the time with me, but sometimes with some of our choir members and guests because they'll be also leading some of the hymns as well. We're only doing 2 or 3 verses of each hymn because we had so many requests for hymns this month, and I think it was great. And so what we do is before we sing each hymn, we talk about. I'll invite the person who requested the hymn if they're on the call. Some of them may not be tonight. To just let us know what it is about this hymn that made them pick it, and maybe a memory or just even as simple as, well, it's my favorite and I just love singing it, which is definitely one of my favorite things to say. The choir folks will tell you I say it about many of the pieces that we sing in choir. It's my favorite, and so it's a lot like that with hymns too. Okay, the most important thing for tonight is that you keep your mic on mute so that we only hear one person singing, the designated person. And if you unmute to speak and share a little bit, just remember to mute yourself back because I may not find the mute button while I'm playing and singing. So if you unmute, mute back, and enjoy singing along. And if you don't want to sing along, totally okay to just listen as well. Okay, we're going to begin our hymn sing. And the very first piece up today, My God, Thy Table Now Is Spread. And this is to the tune Rockingham. And I think one of the other popular hymns that we sing this tune to is When I Survey the Wondrous Cross. So I think the tune will be pretty familiar. But this is a communion hymn. And David Brown requested this. David, are you on the call?
I am on the phone. Can you
Hey,
hear me?
David. Yes, we can hear you. Tell us about this hymn.
From the time that I could walk until I was graduating from high school, I did three things: eat, sleep, and play a lot of sports and compete. But once a week, my mom would drag me by the ear to church, and that would be a time of quietness and serenity, which was a great contrast. And 321 has always been this wonderfully haunting hymn that I love very dearly.
That's great. David, thank you. It's one of my favorites as well. I think this is great. It's a great one, actually, on a night like tonight to start us off on. As David said, kind of serene. I think it's going to put us right in the right mood. Okay, David, I'm muting you because I see you there, and I'm going to make that happen. Everybody, sing along as you feel led. We'll sing verse 1, 2, and 4. My God, thy table now is spread, thy cup with love doth overflow. Be all thy children thither led, and let them thy sweet mercies know. O let thy table honored be, and furnished well with joyful guests, and may each soul salvation see, that here its sacred pledges tastes. Nor let thy spreading gospel rest, till through the world thy truth has run, till with this bread shall all be blessed, whose was just great. David, thanks so much for suggesting this hymn. It was a great one to open tonight. And we don't often get to sing the word thither, actually. So that's another reason why it's fun to sing some of these hymns. Good. Let's move on, everybody, to our next hymn. I'm so excited. Okay, so this is an interesting one. It's certainly one that I grew up with in the Baptist church. And Greg has suggested this hymn. He suggested it last month as well with a list of hymns. But it's in the Episcopal hymnal, and it is. Well, I'm going to talk a little more about it, but first, let me just see if Greg is on the call. Greg, are you here? And I'm not hearing him. So
yes, Greg.
there you are.
Yes,
Tell us
I am
about
here,
this.
and not only am I here, but I'm in the backyard, and my beloved brother from Los Angeles is here too, and there he is, right there.
Welcome.
Anyway, yes, the Mars is Onward Christian Soldiers, and as I said at the last time, I was raised Presbyterian, and we were very rousing with this. It does sound kind of martial, but that's really not the intent. Reverend Rhodes, who was our minister, was born of missionary stock in China, so that there was sort of a deep Presbyterian evangelism that was sort of inherent. So, as I said, the Christian soldiers were low key but strong. So the Presbyterian blues shook when the congregation sang this.
I love it. Greg, thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm going to mute you because I can just see you right there. And so, yeah, this hymn is a little martial, and I think probably intent is important when singing a hymn like this. But I know our intent will be good. I sort of was inspired to include the photo from the Women's March on the side because I think it really is about what we want to march for. Now, that being said, I decided to add an alternative verse to this. Brian McLaren, who is a theologian, a few years ago sort of made a big splash on the internet. You could really Google it and be lost for a few hours. Unpleasantly, when he rewrote the lyrics to Onward Christian Soldiers. But I really liked them as well. And so to be able to just have a chance to sing in two different, both the traditional very first verse, marching off to war, and then Brian's new text. I also love pointing out that these hymns that we sing we're meant to write new texts to them. We want to write new texts and sing to these fabulous tunes. At the same time, we also want to acknowledge all of the classics as well. Okay, so we'll have the first verse from the classic Onward Christian Soldiers and the first verse from Brian McLaren's rewrite. Okay. Christian soldiers marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Christ the royal master leads against the foe, forward into battle, see his banners go. Onward Christian soldiers marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Onward all disciples in the path of peace, just as Jesus taught us, love your enemies. Walk on in the Spirit, seek God's kingdom first. Let God's peace and justice be your hunger and your thirst. Onward all disciples Oh, how great. Thank you so much, Greg, for that. I tell you, that does take me back many decades to my childhood, so I loved revisiting it. That's great. Okay, oh, and by the way, if you might recognize Arthur Sullivan, who wrote this hymn, who wrote the tune, you might also hear strains of I am a very model of a modern major general and such other things, as the famous Gilbert and Sullivan composer. Okay, we're going to move on to our next piece, and this is just a wonderful. Well, I'll actually let Kathy talk about it. Kathy, would you introduce Let All Mortal Flesh Keep Silence?
I would love to. I first heard this hymn, believe it or not, and having been in choirs all my life in the Episcopal Church, I first heard this hymn when I visited Grace Cathedral for the first time as a 12-year-old. And I had never been in a cathedral before. I'd never seen anything like that. And as we came back from communion and we were sitting there praying, kneeling there praying, as was the custom. And the choir started to sing this, and I absolutely levitated out of my space. I could not believe what I was hearing. It was a completely religious experience. And it has just been one of my very favorite special goosebumpers.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic, Kathy. And you know, we sing it a lot during Advent and also Christmas time, in which the second verse that specifically talks about Jesus being born of Mary, we're not doing tonight, actually, to make it a little less Christmassy. And Kathy's especially requested the last verse. Why do you love the last verse so much?
Because I've always been mystified at the seraphim and the cherubim. The six-winged seraph has always just, I don't know, it's just weird and wacky and wonderful.
Well, I love that too. So we have a special treat tonight. Kathy's agreed to lead this hymn, so I'm going to mute myself, and Kathy, take it away.
Okay, thanks. Let all mortal flesh keep silence, and with fear and trembling stand. Ponder nothing earthly minded, for with blessing in his hand, Christ our God to earth descendeth, our full homage to demand. At his feet the six-winged seraph, cherubim with sleepless eye, veil their faces to the presence, as with ceaseless voice they cry, Alleluia, 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 Lord Most High.
Hooray, Kathy, that's so fantastic. You can do my job if you like. Kathy, thanks so much for suggesting this hymn and for leading it for us tonight. I just think that was wonderful. Okay. Our next hymn comes from Lift Every Voice and Sing, and Kathy Heller has suggested it, requested it. Precious Lord, Take My Hand. Kathy, do you want to talk about why you requested this one?
Yes, I requested this because my mother, I had it played at my mother's funeral. She had had a bad stroke and was very disabled. And this is wonderful imagery for me that the Lord could take her hand, help her stand, which she couldn't do, and lead her on. So it really means a lot to me.
Great. Thank you, Kathy, so much. And I'm going to mute you so you don't have to. And, you know, I always think of this hymn, I believe this hymn was well known to be the favorite hymn of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And so we sometimes sing it when we are commemorating Dr. King. And it's a wonderful one, and we should sing it more often than just once a year. And Kathy gave us just a great, a great memory of the imagery in this fabulous hymn. We'll sing verse 1 and verse 3. storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me on. When the darkness appears and the night draws near, and the day is past and gone, at the river I stand, guide my feet, hold my hand, take my hand, precious Lord, lead me on. Oh, so great. Kathy, thank you so much for suggesting this hymn, written by Tommy Dorsey. We should sing it absolutely more often. I love it. Okay, sticking with Lift Every Voice and Sing, Carolyn has recommended Wade in the Water, an old spiritual. And Carolyn, are you there?
I am.
Yes. Okay, tell us why this one is special.
As we learned last time, my family's complicated, but essentially, my mother's very Southern Baptist, White Southern Baptist, and
Yeah. Hey, Carolyn, would you lean toward your phone? Because we can barely hear you. Oh, that's going to be so much better.
thank you. My mother's White Southern Baptist, very complicated relationship with my, Catholic dad. But anyway, so music meant everything in our family, and we could all come around and sing together on a Sunday. On Sundays, we only sang sacred music. We only listened to sacred music, and we'll only watch sacred TV or family-oriented TV. So, what I took away from that is that Sundays are special, and we should all make Sundays special. If you give it up to God or you give it to yourself or your family, it should be special. This song particularly relates to the water rights of my family and her farm in Oklahoma. And Wade in the water was everything. To have water is life. So I found this very, very moving as a child and moving to my mom. Thank you, Ben, for doing all this. It's been a great experience.
Oh, great. Thank you, Carolyn. I'm just going to go ahead and click mute for you. And what a great, an unexpected reason to think about how important water is, and that is what makes this spiritual so important. I definitely grew up much the same way. Lots of good sacred music in my Southern Baptist household, and sacred television as well. So, okay, so Wade in the Water, we're going to just sing 2 verses. We start with the refrain, and then we sing it after each verse. I think a lot of you probably know this one. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. See that host all dressed in white. God's gonna trouble the water. The leader looks like the Israelite. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. See that band all dressed in red. God's gonna trouble the water. Looks like the band clouds are gonna trouble the water. Oh, fabulous. Thanks so much, Carolyn. That's another one we don't do enough, and I love that we got a chance to sing it tonight. Great, great, great suggestion. Okay, hey, let's go on to our next one. One more from Lift Every Voice and Sing. We've had actually a few water elements in the in the last two hymns. Shall We Gather at the River, a classic, one I grew up singing. And Sarah Blaine has suggested it. Sarah, are you on the call?
I am.
Oh, hey, Sarah. I know you just said you just love this one, but do you have anything other than it's just one of your faves?
It's just one of my faves. I'm certainly grooving on the water imagery that we're floating along right now, which I'm loving, and I am just reminiscing about taking a hymnal and going down to the dock at a lake house with my cousin Wheeze and thumbing through the hymnal and singing along. So I'm just loving tonight. Anyway,
Okay.
thanks.
Absolutely. Fantastic, Sarah. And good. And Sarah's muted. And Sarah, this hymn, when I sing this hymn a lot, there's a fairly beloved Aaron Copland arrangement of this hymn. It's a little bit, 20th century esoteric, but it's one of the pieces that I sang a lot as a young person who was training to be a choir conductor, and it just ended up in the repertoire quite a bit, and so it always reminds me of that in addition to my childhood. We sing it a lot for All Saints, and maybe we will again this year because it's coming up and I can just drop it in. Okay, here we're going to sing verse 1 and verse 4 of Shall We Gather at the River. Shall we gather at the river, where bright angel feet have trod, with its crystal tide forever flowing by the throne of God? Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God. Soon we'll reach the shining river. Soon our pilgrimage will cease. Soon our happy hearts will quiver with the melody of peace. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God. Oh yeah, a great one. Thank you so much. And written by Robert Lowry, who I think we also think of, who wrote one of my favorite pieces. The choir does a lot. How Can I Keep From Singing is another one credited to Robert Lowry. So fabulous. Okay, let's go on, everybody. Now this one is a really great one. We're changing tone a little bit, and Ray suggested this one along with another last month, and this is from Hymnal 1940. So it goes back in time a little bit, and some of you will probably still recognize the tune, so I just put the words in. And if you don't, as we sing it, just listen. It's really quite easy to hear after you hear it once, and maybe try it out on the second verse. Now, Ray, if you're on the call, can you tell us a little bit about this hymn? And maybe Ray is not here, and that's okay. Ray, I'll give you one more shot.
Here.
Oh, there you are. Good.
I have to unmute. Yes. I like this one. I like the word disconsolate, old-fashioned word, and I like languish. And I came across this when I was feeling unhappy about something, and this was so touching to me. So it's my favorite.
That's great. Fantastic. Okay, Ray, I'm going to mute you back. Good. And so, it's so interesting that you bring up words. I mean, I was finding some of those great words interesting earlier on in the hymn sing, and you don't often say or sing disconsolate or languish. I even look in that second verse. I almost didn't include it because I've been trying to cut just to a couple verses. But joy of the desolate is another really just descriptive image, actually, when you're looking for some comfort from the comforter. So I love it. So thank you so much, Ray, for suggesting this. Again, if you don't know this one, listen to the first verse, and I think you'll catch on pretty quickly. Okay, here we go. Come, ye disconsolate, where ye languish, come to the mercy seat, fervently kneel. Here bring your wounded hearts, here tell your anguish. Earth has no sorrow that heaven cannot heal. Joy of the desolate, light of the straying, hope of the penitent, fadeless and pure. Here speaks the Comforter, tenderly saying, earth has no sorrow that heaven cannot cure. Here see the bread of life, see waters flowing forth from the throne of God, pure from above. Come to the feast of love, come ever knowing, earth has no sorrow, but have can remove. Oh, that's just really wonderful. Thank you, Ray, so much for suggesting it. Keep it on my radar so we can do it in a service sometime. Okay? Great. All right. Moving on, everybody. Oh, this is a favorite of mine, and Jim Hassler recommended it. And Abide With Me. Jim, are you on the call? Do you want to talk a little bit about this hymn?
I am on the call, and I have a little history about this one too.
Excellent. Okay.
You know, for me, this tune is one of those things that you heard the title of over the years, but never knew quite what it was until you were old enough to be going to memorial services, and that's really where I learned the tune, which sounds a little grim, but it always for me was something that set a very peaceful and relaxed tone for reflection. And it's one of the reasons that I've always loved this piece. It also comes with a little bit of a story that the author of the hymn, Henry Francis Lyte, was an Anglican priest, and he battled tuberculosis most of his life. And one of the things that he did on his last sermon, he was getting ready to go to the south of France to recuperate, and he ended up after he'd given his last sermon, going home and fishing this poem that he had started writing 20 years earlier out of his papers. And he took it on the trip with him, and he did some new words and verses, and then he mailed them to his wife when he was in Avignon, and then continued to travel down to Nice, where he passed away shortly. And his congregation asked that his son, who was also a pastor, conduct a memorial service. And the first time this hymn was ever sung was at his own memorial service. And there apparently are 8 verses to this, but most books only publish 4. And there's one verse that is almost never sung, and it's sort of one of my favorites. I'll just read this, and then I'm going to try to sing a cappella on this. It says, "Thou on my head in early youth didst smile, and through rebellious and perverse meanwhile, thou hast not left me oft as I left thee. On to the close, O Lord, abide with me." And so I've got to admit, I get a little tickled by that. And I think, Ben, if I'm looking correctly, we're singing the first 3 verses of this?
That's correct. Verse 1, 2, and 3 as is in the hymnal.
Okay, and I'm going to give myself 2 tuning notes, and then I'm going to just start in.
Perfect.
Abide with me, fast falls the eventide. The darkness deepens, Lord, with me abide. When other helpers fail and comforts flee, help of the helpless, oh, abide with me. I need thy presence every passing hour. What but thy grace can foil the tempter's power? Who like thyself my guide and stay can be? Through cloud and sunshine, Lord, abide with me. I fear no foe, with thee at hand to bless. Ills have no weight and tears no bitterness. Where is death's sting? Where, grave, thy victory? I triumph still if thou abide with me.
Oh, great, Jim. Thank you so much. That was great. Thanks for choosing this. Thanks for giving us the little facts about it and for leading it so beautifully with your lovely voice. That was fabulous, Jim. Thank you. All right. So we have a special hymn coming up next, and I'm going to move. I actually put the music, the score, melody at least, into the PowerPoint for us all to see, and we'll talk about why. And by the way, if you have trouble seeing this, because it's all over to the right side, at least it is on my screen, and you've got people's faces over it, I forgot to remind, there's an option in Zoom where you can go up to the top and it says View Options. It might be on the upper right, it might be on the upper center, and I always choose side by side, and that puts the people on one side, our faces, and then the PowerPoint on the other, and then you might be able to see the whole thing. So last month we sang For the Beauty of the Earth with one of my favorite hymn tunes, and this month Fran has suggested a new hymn tune, and this is one that is a traditional folk song that Ito Lo has, who I think is a Taiwanese composer, has made into a singable hymn to go with this hymn text of For the Beauty of the Earth. And Fran, are you on the call? Can you tell us a little bit about this, about why you chose this hymn?
Yes, before I go into that, I just wanted to thank Sarah Blaine for choosing what she did, Shall We Gather at the River. It was exactly 18 months ago that Art died. And when I had my celebration of life, I chose, Shall We Gather at the River for one of the hymns. And one of my friends took a video of Art. He's sitting there in the pew and he's going like this, keeping time with the music. So anyway, thank you, Sarah. Well, anyway, last month when Ben started off, he said, For the Beauty of the Earth was one of his favorite hymns. And then he used a different tune. And all the time that we were singing it, and I told Ben, I emailed him and said, what's the name of your hymn tune? Because I kept thinking about Thanksgiving Day. And sure enough, there is that hymn for Thanksgiving Day with that tune. So anyway, I thank Ben for this opportunity to introduce same hymn, but different tune, a very Asian tune. And just as I introduced us all to different lyrics for Lift High the Cross, this month I would like to introduce you to an Asian setting to For the Beauty of the Earth.
That's fantastic. And Fran, can I ask you, do you know this folk song separately from this? Have you heard it before?
I was at a conference and we sang it. It was the first time I had ever sung a very familiar hymn with an Asian tune, and I was quite taken with it.
Excellent, fabulous. And can you, because I meant to ask you this as well, where did you find this score? Is it in a hymnal?
It is in a hymnal, yes. Something called, something about Four Winds or something like that.
Great, okay,
and
good.
I do have the hymnal.
Oh, great, good. I'll look for that. I think that's fantastic. Okay, so fabulous, Fran. Thank you for bringing this to us. And it's similarly, you might not be able to sing the first verse because you're going to want to listen to what is an unfamiliar tune for most of us. But for those choir members, especially, and those of you who are not in choir who read music, I wanted to have this melody there because it's just going to make more sense if you see that melody. And I hope that it's coming through clearly. It has a very pentatonic feel, so not as many notes in the scale, but that also adds to some kind of interesting leaps. You might see one right away at the beginning, leaping up the scale. It's a little high, but you can do it. If I can do it, you guys can do it. Okay, so I'm going to sing at least the first verse on my own, but sing along as you feel able. This is just really wonderful. Okay, here's a little introduction. right. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Fran, for introducing us to that. I think that was just wonderful. I enjoyed learning it just for tonight. So I hope that we have a chance to maybe put that when we're back singing together in a worship bulletin and sing it in a service. Of course, I hope for lots of things. Okay, hey, let's move on to our next hymn. We're going to have two verses of When Jesus Left His Father's Throne, and this one was suggested by Sarah. Sarah, are you there? Sarah, give you just a second, Sarah. Maybe unmute.
Here I am.
There
Okay.
you are. Fabulous, Sarah. Why did you choose this hymn?
Well, for several reasons. I love this tune, and Vaughan Williams was kind enough to do 5 variations for orchestra called Dives and Lazarus, which Alan and Howe and I both adore. And the Mormons have done a zillion variations on it for piano solo. And their text is, "If I could hie to Kolob," a text I'm not familiar with. And so, but I love this. And the first 2 verses are so perfect for any time, really. And the 3rd verse is great for Palm Sunday. So,
Excellent. Okay. Well, I love it too, Sarah. It's one of my favorite tunes. And Sarah is going to lead us in this one.
I love it. When Jesus left his Father's throne, he chose an humble birth, like a son honored and unknown. He came to dwell on earth. Like him may we be found below in wisdom's path of peace. Like him in grace and knowledge grow as years and strength increase. Sweet were his words and kind his look when mothers round him pressed their infants in his arms he took, and on his bosom blessed. Safe from the world's alluring arms, beneath his watchful eye. Thus in the circle of his arms may we forever lie.
Yay! Thank you, Sarah. Fabulous. A great hymn, a great tune, and a wonderful setting by Vaughan Williams. Sarah, thank you so much for suggesting it and for leading us tonight. That was great. All right, we've just got a couple more hymns, everybody. I can't believe we're almost at the end. It's been so much fun. Our next hymn, second to last, was requested by John Sayles, and "Oh Beautiful for Spacious Skies." And John, are you on the call?
Yes, I am.
Oh, John, tell us about this choice.
Well, this song was written after the author made a trip to the top of Pikes Peak, and I think it was 1893. How she made that trip, I know not. I don't think there was automobile access to it at that point. But she wrote this after she returned from Pikes Peak in, I think, 1895. As I sit here, in sheltering in place and anxious to get out and hiking, this song came to my mind. And on the other side of it, I found 8 verses of this song online, and 6 of the 8 have grace in each verse. And it also, as you know, in the first verse, it mentions brotherhood, which we so desperately need.
Excellent, John. Thank you so much. And I'm going to go ahead and mute you And that was, I mean, I thought John also told me in an email how timely it felt to want to sing this now, and I agree. I've long loved this as a patriotic song. It was, I'll tell my brief story about it. Years ago, I don't know, 15, I was the accompanist for the Denver Women's Chorus, who were primarily a lesbian chorus, and it was my introduction to what eventually to go on to become a conductor myself of gay men's choruses. And they sang this piece a lot, and I, like, at first was like, why are you guys singing this? And sometimes they sang brotherhood, sometimes they sang sisterhood. You know, they kind of switched it up a little bit. And I learned that Catherine Lee Bates, at the time, this is the first that I'd heard this, who wrote this text, was as fairly suspected that she herself had a female partner, 100 years ago, so very, very long time ago. And so she was celebrated frequently by the Denver Women's Chorus. So they taught me that, and I've always remembered it and thought so fondly of this text and this tune. And I think it's a really great one that we can sing this evening. I even found some Purple Mountains for everybody tonight. I hope you can see the lyrics. I bet a lot of us know these. Okay, so here we go. We'll sing all 3 verses that appear in the Episcopal hymnal. Oh, last thing. The Episcopal hymnal misspelled Catherine's name, but I caught it. Okay. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, God mend thine every flaw, confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, fabulous. Thanks, John. How inspiring. This is another one we only sing once a year, so it's really nice to get another option, so I really appreciate that suggestion. Okay, everybody, we've come to our last hymn for the evening. This is Episcopalian titled "I, the Lord of Sea and Sky," after the first line, but it is more commonly known as "Here I Am, Lord" by Dan Schutte. And I've got 2 verses for us to sing and the refrain, and I think it's familiar to many of us. Susan Pierpoint emailed me just the other day to suggest this. Susan, are you on the call? Let's give you one more shot just in case you are. Susan, are you on the call? Okay, doesn't sound like it tonight, and that's all right. This is a favorite of mine as well. See, there I go again, saying that they're all my favorite. I think this is one of those pieces that, you know, when I see the text that it's based on that comes up, I'm always going to throw it into a worship service. But then I also think, why do I wait on that? Because there's so much here that is good and inspiring beyond just the Old Testament text where this comes from. And I was thinking this week, I've actually put it in this Sunday service as well, because it speaks a lot to, my sense of justice almost. Like, we're just one person, right? And we sometimes feel that there's not so much that we can do to make change in the world. And to me, I'm like, well, here I am. There's one. And that's one of the best things I think when I sing this hymn. It gives me a lot of inspiration, and as has been mentioned tonight, we really do need that right now. So here, join me in singing for our last hymn, I, the Lord of Sea and Sky, Here I Am, Lord. I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in deepest sin, my hand will save. I who made the stars of night, I will make their darkness bright, who will bear my light to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. It is I, Lord. I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I, the Lord of snow and rain, I have borne my people's pain. I have wept for love of them. They turn away. I will break their hearts of stone, give them hearts for love alone. I will speak my word to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. Oh, well, Susan, thank you for requesting that absolute favorite and a great one to end on tonight. So before we go, I want to thank everybody who requested a hymn. We can't really do these hymn sings without those requests, and I can't do call out the number, or I can't prepare any of the lyrics for you guys at home. So thank you for doing that. We are going to have another hymn sing next month on the third Thursday, which will fall on November 19th. I'm going to encourage everybody to think of their favorite Thanksgiving and harvest hymns, so we can actually be I have a feeling, well, I'm not going to say anything about that. I just know that I'll be in the mood for some Thanksgiving hymns. So pick your favorites, send them to me at ben@stjohnsoakland.org, and I'll send a reminder out in the Friday email just before soliciting some hymn favorites. So before we go, we're going to do exactly what we did last time. I'm going to start by stopping my share and inviting all of you to please unmute. And I'm going to do that down here.
And then we just wave at each other.
And then you just wave at each other. Exactly.